Yes, it's that time of the week again, folks. It is Friday night on the bus. You don't need me to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. You know what that means? Is that Friday feeling once again? We're getting down to the nitty gritty now. Only 5 or 6 weeks to go. The title champagne is currently on ice because all eyes are on Scottish Cup action this weekend. We are playing St Johnstone at Hampden in the semi-final. Aberdeen and Hearts are playing tomorrow in the other semi-final. So we will, if Celtic are going to get to the final, we will know who will be awaiting us there, who will be standing in the way of a potential treble. But yes, a lot to talk about tonight, a lot to catch up on. I'm looking forward to getting into it. And of course, as always, Friday night on the bus, it wouldn't be right if I was on screen and this guy wasn't here. He is, of course, Canada's favourite Tim. And he is the wise man of the bus. Liam, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing brilliant, Phil. Sun is out, sun is shining, beautiful day. And if you think we're not going to talk about Greg Taylor tonight, get the klaxon ready. I think it's going to be a good one.
I thought it was over.
Get your arguments ready as well too. Like anybody that really thinks we should be signing Greg Taylor, I'd love to hear some real points of how you really think that inverted fullback helps us. Explain it to me like 5.
Yeah, we welcome the debate. So, yes, of course, there will be people in the chat that will obviously see positives to it. But, yes, I thought it was over. A few weeks ago, we spoke about it. It looked like Brendan was pretty much resigned to, yeah, it looks like he'll leave. But no, here we are once again. But we'll get a wee chat about that as well. There's a few other things as well on the agenda tonight. So, it should be a nice, busy show. All the usual Friday feeling shenanigans. But, of course, speaking of Friday feeling shenanigans, first thing you can do, of course, is to do all that good stuff, folks, before we get into it. Of course, hit the old like button again. Interactions on YouTube, always helps out, helps in the algorithms. So, of course, hit that button there, get some traction on YouTube, especially on a busy Friday night, because there's a lot of Celtic podcasts on at the same time on a Friday night. So if you've chosen to be with us this evening, we thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Of course, you can get involved in our comment section tonight. So let's see who's in tonight. We have got Jim C., Tommy 55 is in, Charles Smith is in, Alan Mokwa, James Kennedy, Jim Dolan, Ali, who else have we got? A name I haven't shouted out yet. Smell the Glove is here. FS is here. And yeah, we haven't seen Graham Tyrrell yet. He better have the klaxon ready, usually here on a Friday night. But yep, all of the favourites are in again, so take your usual seats and get ready for another Friday feeling, folks. Of course, if you haven't done so yet and you are new to the channel, you've all just discovered us, hit the subscribe button, keep us in your life that wee bit longer, and hit the bell notification, and you'll be notified when the bus is on the road. And yeah, you can also still head over to piesports.com. The code BUS1888 will get you 12.5% off all your tasty pastry treats. And of course, as always, we brain teaser to get us going tonight. I have got tonight's mystery player. He's got a busy career, I can tell you that. There are 12 clubs to his career. 12, Liam. It's a bit of a puzzle, this one. So tonight's player hidden behind the Boise Bus logo is, he's played for Notts County, then Derby County, Aston Villa, Celtic, Everton, Sheffield Wednesday, Kilmarnock, Gillingham, Sheffield United, Scunthorpe United, and then he ended his career in the lower leagues, non-league English football, playing for Tamworth, and I want to say it's pronounced Rochester, I think, or Rochester or something, Rocester. Anyway, that's his career. So yeah, quite a lengthy career there for tonight's mystery player. Don't shout the answer out yet if you know it, Liam, but we'll come back to it at the end of the show and we'll have a wee discussion about that. So anyway, with that said and done, I think there's only one story to lead on, Liam. You alluded to it there at the start then. So sound the klaxon. Here we are, Greg Taylor. Greg Taylor, I said that I thought it was over. I thought this was the end. I thought we were winding down. Greg Taylor's days were finished, but here we are. Brendan Rodgers has still maintained consistently in press conferences that he wants to keep him. You know, obviously he looks at the squad element of it, and there is a point to that. But can't we look at better than Greg Taylor? Obviously, Kieran Tierney's coming back. We know that Kieran Tierney's coming to be the main left back next season. Obviously, he cannot probably play 50 plus games a season. Let's be honest. He has got a bit of a sketchy record with the injuries. But yes, he's looking to keep Greg Taylor in. But again, you hear Brendan saying this, you think, well, he's just, he's saying all the right things a manager would say. But it now seems that after it looked like he was heading out the door, and there was going to be no deal had. A lot of strong rumours in the last week or so that it may be happening, Liam, that there may be a resolution coming here and a new deal will be signed and Greg Taylor shall be staying. I mean, I'm going to ask, but I know how you feel about it. But the floor is yours.
Oh, it's a hard no for a start, right? Right, so see, last Saturday, that was surreal. And it got more surreal as my day went on. I see Greg Taylor's name on the team sheet, and I said, okay, and I expect that, because Schlupp he wasn't really, really bad, but he wasn't actually good. Didn't look like somebody that was playing for a contract. And so I can see him getting dropped for that. So, all right, so, radar's up, onto the game, all right, Taylor's playing. Just as I get in and I watch her coming out, and what's Greg Taylor holding? Son goes, it's his Wayne. What? He's bringing a baby out with him. Aye, Greg Taylor standing there in the lineup with a baby. With a baby. And I'm reading people, and I know I'm sounding like Roy Keane here or something, dinosaur. Honestly, what message which of the Lisbon Lions do you think you could see in that iconic photograph walking out with a baby in their arms? What one? Right? I mean, Sophie right there, I was annoyed, right?
Yep.
And I'm just thinking, it's like, that's no, like, Fit Boy, it just seemed to, like, it just showed me everything. It was another look at me moment that really annoys me about Greg Taylor. Because, when you used to pop up on all the Celtic stuff and that, and then there was also that, talk to anybody, loudest in the change room, Greg Taylor. Who's the most vocal? Greg Taylor. It's like, Christ's sake, man. Nightmare. And as the game went on, I thought he settled in. He played okay. I still think he hits 4-1 back passes versus a forward pass. He does not like a forward pass. And then as soon as we sort of got the 4 goals or the fourth goal, we went into the horseshoe. And that was Greg Taylor showing up and playing it safe. But all he was doing was just rushing into the pocket and playing 1-1-2s back with McGregor or Scales or CCV. I was absolutely stunned when they said he was the man of the match. I go, man of the match? Okay, well, Hatate scored 2 goals.
That's what I was expecting. The man of the match was Hatate. That's what I was expecting.
That's what I was thinking as well. And then I looked at Tony Ralston that came on as well, and I'm thinking, well, for a guy that comes in out of the cold every night, not only did he put in a good shift, he scored an absolute peach of a goal. Thought it was a cracker, and I like big Tony Ralston. Mm-hmm. But it's really funny the amount of vitriol you get with the fans. People say, oh, Greg Taylor's a whipping boy and all that. It's funny, you got 2 different sets of values within Celtic. You got the people that appreciate Greg Taylor, and you got the people that appreciate Tony Ralston's. And I think you can be both, but I think there is a duality towards that. One's more like a homegrown, academy-based player. He doesn't do anything fancy. He doesn't do anything wrong. He's very rarely was Tony Ralston ever at fault for a goal. And then if you look at the stats between Taylor and Ralston, for the minuscule amount of minutes he's played, has actually got better numbers than Greg Taylor. Maybe not in passbacks and things like that when you're up in possession, but actually for contributions going forward. The other part that Ralston has well over Taylor is the fact that high risk moments and high risk games where, especially in Ange's season, where Tony Ralston came back and defended a really good ball, or the game against Hibernian, where Tony takes like a 15-yard run for what was a 60-40 ball going the other way and wins it.
Yep.
So game-changing moments. And you've seen Ralston in a number of those. And it just really, really annoys me that after that game, seeing Tony Ralston come on, score that goal, the talk was all about how Greg Taylor played. And I didn't see anything exceptional of what Greg Taylor did. I saw a lot of just 5-yard pass backs. Rodgers talks about freshening up the team. Remember, if a team doesn't get freshened, the manager leaves. Greg Taylor's a fresh face. Greg Taylor is known by every manager in this league and every winger, because they know attack is that side, that he can be targeted. So the stadium announcer giving that, the walking out with the baby, the amount of like leaking to the press, oh, Greg Taylor could be on a 3-year deal, the amount of fannies on podcasts and all that, fucking high-fiving each other and, you know, arguing whether he's going to, you know, where will Tierney play and will Tierney get in the team. All that sort of stuff just colluded to just make me think, this isn't the real world. This can't be real, right?
Yeah.
April Fool's was at the beginning of the month. It's not at the end of the month, or the middle of the month. You know, it's like, what are Celtic playing at here? Like, Greg Taylor says a nice boy now, and he'll get on in some teams. But Greg Taylor's only of value to us when we've got the ball, and it's one of the things where you're 4 up and you're just passing it about in the horseshoe. If you're in a high stakes game where it's nothing, or you are playing against a team like Borussia Dortmund, all the backing up, Greg Taylor's not going to be playing in that wee prime of the horseshoe. Greg Taylor is going to be backing himself out the park. Greg Taylor's going to be nowhere to be seen near his man in the box or whoever he's marking. He's going to be out-muscled, out-fought, out-jumped. Honestly, other than that little pass back that he does as part of this inverted fullback, the goal against us, watch where the positioning was when they scored against us, Kelly scored against us. Arnie Engels was trying to cut down block out the striker. Where was Greg Taylor?
So come to that side,
yeah. So, I mean, that's, if anybody's got a better argument out there, please post it. Tell me what it is that I'm missing, because obviously, Brendan Rodgers, you know, Neil Lennon, Scott, everybody talks about Greg Taylor as if they're trying to sell you some sort of scheme. You know? And that's the feeling I get right now. We're being sold, man. Come on, tell me I'm wrong.
Well, that was an explosive start, and I knew it was coming. But yeah, a lot to unpack there, Liam. A lot of things you've been very consistent with for years now on this show. Years. This isn't just a fad that you just jumped on the bandwagon and decided, I don't like Greg Taylor. You have been warning us since Ange was here, when he was perceived to be at the best of his abilities. You've been pushing the Greg Taylor's got a lot of deficiencies that, a lot of people don't seem to see. But yeah, here we are in this situation where it looks like
it makes me think, Phil, that we don't have a backup. That our scouting department, okay, so doesn't look like we have anybody in the reserves, right? Because we had Frame, right? And then he's just sort of disappeared. We keep getting told we've got all these utility players that can also play left back as well, but we very rarely get a chance to see them. You know, usually when it's too late and they go, oh, Christ, he's a great player. Like when I saw Johnstone popping up playing left back for Canada and actually firing in crosses and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, so there's no reason for us to be still going with Greg. You know?
well, let's get the tinfoil hats on, Liam. Let's do that just now. Let's theorize on some stuff, because one of the first things that came to my mind when I saw this story doing the rounds is, you will remember that about 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, there was a story doing the rounds in the media that, by the way, one of the teams that's in for him is actually Rangers. You remember that story? Remember that was doing the rounds?
Right.
You think know how agents can be a bit full of mischief when they want to get a deal for their client, and they'll put stories out there in the media. Because I was like, Greg Taylor will go to Rangers. I know he grew up a Rangers fan, but there's no way that he is going to do that, go directly there and cross the divide. But then when that story's doing the rounds, and then suddenly Celtic are back around the negotiation table, do you think maybe people in his team and his agent, whatever, have put a story out there to try and prompt Celtic to maybe get back round the negotiation table and pull the finger out from their point of view, because obviously they feel that the offer they've been getting hasn't been what they want. So I know that agents can do things like that, where if they need to get a deal for their player, they'll put something out there, a wee bone thrown to the media about something. Because I'd say I just couldn't see it happen. I know there were some people who were saying, oh, by the way, this might happen. I saw some Rangers fans even entertaining the idea of it happening, and I was like, don't think he's wanting that, guys. But yeah, when I saw that story, then Celtic are suddenly back around the negotiation table. I don't think it's off the back of a half-decent performance against Kilmarnock. I was like, no, it's got to be, do they believe this story doing the rounds? But either way, they're around the table, it seems, going by the stories that are out there tonight. It does seem like that. But Liam, do you think there might have been a wee bit of mischief there, a wee bit of a tinfoil hat stuff going on?
I mean, if that's all it takes, they're bored or mugs. They're getting
I know, to be fair, look, hey, we've said a lot
Brendan,
of bad things about the board on this channel. We've said a lot of bad things, I suppose. So,
I mean, imagine if that's all it takes to trigger the board into activating. Like, honestly, what's he asking for? 20-25 grand a week? Greg Taylor, come on. This guy's on this board, I'm sure, could put on the boots and do the same shift on that team. Oh, you know what I mean?
But I've been keeping an eye on the chat. There is a lot of people that are all saying it's time to move on from him and whatnot. There are some that have came in and said they would keep him because, again, squad player. If KT's not going to play the full season, it'd be amazing if Tierney came up here and, just was able to play 50-something games, no problem at all. That would be excellent. And in fairness, Kieran Tierney has been surprising me in recent months. He's managed to play a bit more for Arsenal. I genuinely thought after the shenanigans that Mikel Arteta was pulling in January, where, he was there letting him go, come up here on loan to see out his contract. I was like, he'll play about 60 minutes worth of football between now and the season, but fair play to Kieran Tierney. He's actually been getting a bit of game time and been making the most of his minutes. And hey, he could come up to Celtic with a Champions League winners medal. Imagine that. That might happen. There is a chance it could happen. But yeah, we do obviously need backup there. The Jeffrey Schlupp thing, I don't know, a lot of fans are kind of wavering on that one now. But again, it's like, what's stopping us from going out there and looking for something better? Greg Taylor, I always say, is fine. He's just okay. But we can do better than fine. We can do better than okay. And I just feel like, why don't we push more? Is it a case of the scouting team have got it so wrong in recent years, Liam, where they have tried to find better than Greg Taylor and they keep getting it wrong, essentially? Bolingoli, Laxalt, Bernabei, all these left backs that have came in and he's seen them off like the Grim Reaper knocking on the door, moves on to the next one, knocks on the door. Is that what it is? Is that what this comes down to? Shoot, you're telling me there isn't left backs out there that we can bring in that would be a better shout than Greg Taylor? We talk about, again, if you want to talk about the Scottish quota, Liam, because obviously UEFA squads are important. What about the boy at Hearts? There's a Penrice, is it the left back that plays for them? I think it's Penrice, something like that. It begins with a P anyway. But he looked live when we played him. Remember when we played them at Tynecastle this season? And he was up against Alistair Johnson coming to the right-hand side. He was giving him all sorts of problems. And it's like, yeah. So it's again, there's players there. If you want to keep it a squad player who can come in and do a job and is Scottish, so he obviously ticks that box for the UEFA stuff as well. But again, it just feels like, I think we can get better. Greg Taylor's done a lot for the club in terms of what he's won with trophy-wise. He's got all the winners' medals. It's fine if he wants to move on. It's fine if he does. He's done a lot in terms of what he's got in his winners' medals collection. Yeah. Fair enough. But I feel like we can probably get better than Greg Taylor right now.
Well, Brendan Rodgers said it last week about complacency. Complacency in the team, and he just waxed lyrical about it, and he was talking about, you need to freshen, you need to tighten, your team needs to be competition. Okay, so we signed Greg Taylor as a backup to Kieran Tierney. That's not competition. I know it's Kieran Tierney, but right now you're sending a mindset through the squad that competition, that what you just said about competition and complacency, that doesn't exist, because Greg Taylor will not be pushing Kieran Tierney. Because we all know if Tierney gets injured, as soon as he's fit, he's back in the team, regardless what Greg Taylor's doing. We know that. That's how Brendan operates. And so that's complacency right there. And I think you have to look at the mindset of the team when there's certain people that can't get dropped. McGregor can shit the bed. He'll not get dropped.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? There's certain players that we stand by. We'll look at Arnie Engels. Arnie Engels has been given a much, much better opportunity, and I know injury was part of it, than Paulo Bernardo. I'm trying to figure out now with Rodgers, it's like he's got this weird mindset where he sets some players that are looking really good and then perseveres about trying to smash these square pegs into round holes. I hate the way he accommodates Dyson Maeda from centre forward out to the wing to give Adamida a run. That to me would piss off Dyson Maeda, because as soon as he switched to as a recognised number one centre forward, he picked up his game. He showed it. Okay, so where's the reward for that? You know, like an adequate 60 minutes, and then you move him to the wing, or you take him up so you can put Ida up front. I think we got to look at Dyson as like a recognised striker and stop this experiment stuff in the wing. I think he needs to be centre forward. We score more goals when he's playing centre forward. And I think he just looks a much better player. You know,
no,
so competition, complacency. Yeah, that's one thing, and I agree with Phil. I don't think the board have a backup. I think they were saying, well, somebody will just come through and fill it from the youth team. And I think we have to be looking farther than that. And I think there is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to scout the best young, left back, or somebody can play hybrid, potential fullback in Scotland, and give them a chance to. All right, you're going to understudy Kieran Tierney. You're going to push him to compete with Kieran Tierney. That's a hell of a opportunity for somebody. And what's it? How many people out there would go and scout and look at players and and go and see every team you can to go and find that player? That's what our scouting staff should be doing. I don't think it is what they're doing.
No, definitely not. Well, John Devlin says in the chat, I fear Taylor's had no offers. That's possible as well. It's just like he's just held on. But also, this is a great point from FS. He said, are we going to pay Ralston 25k as backup? Of course not. We're talking about Greg Taylor. Obviously the rumours have been for a while that there's been a standoff on the wages. You're looking at 25k plus for a guy who is probably going to be back up for most of the season. So Kieran Tierney could come up here, and unfortunately there could be a bad injury that could take him out for a while, and Taylor could find himself back playing the majority of games. Obviously we want it to be Tierney. That's the reason why we're bringing him back. He's a quality player. But yeah, I mean, 25k a week for a guy that is potentially be back up. That's what we're looking at. So we're not going to pay Ralston that to sit and be, the backup to Johnstone. He's obviously on a wage that's more appropriate to that. But Taylor's obviously looking for, obviously in our league, 25k plus is a guy that you're expected to be a first team player. So whatever Celtic have come to, if they do come to agreement, I say it's all just rumour just now that they are back around the negotiating table. We'll wait and see what happens there. But yeah, from a few weeks ago, thinking it was over, thinking that your nightmare was finally over, Liam. Ain't over yet, mate. Ain't over.
Hey, happy Good Friday, everybody. We're watching the resurrection of Greg Taylor.
Well, it's Easter, I suppose. Yes, it is indeed.
It is Good Friday, so why not?
Aye, it is. So yeah, that's a. You can breathe now, Liam. That's a discuss Greg Taylor. So calm. That's it. We've got past that part now. Let's move on to some other bits of news and whatnot that's been doing the rounds this week. The fixtures are out, the post-split fixtures, and as I said at the top of the show, the champagne is currently on ice just now because we have to concentrate on Scottish Cup this weekend. So, we now know that to win the league, next league game we play, we are 15 points in front, and the goal difference is something like 40 between Celtic and Rangers right now. I think I saw something the other day on Twitter that said Celtic could lose all 5 games 4-0 and Rangers could win all 5 games 4-0 and they still wouldn't stop us winning the league. Celtic now need a point from the last 5 games. I would expect them to go up to Tannadice and get it, but that's where we're going in our next league game, up to Tannadice, a place that we've won the title a few times. I always knew it was going to be an away game. I said a few times on the show that I reckon it will be Tannadice because I knew it was Pittodrie, Tannadice, Ibrox were going to be the 3 games. We were never, ever, ever going to make it Ibrox the first game. It was never going to happen. But I will say in a moment, there is obviously an angle that could happen, which I hope it doesn't, but there's a possibility. And I'm quite glad it's still Pittodrie because I know that Aberdeen are one of those teams that cut the allocation for Celtic's away tickets. They're one of the teams that have went down that road of cutting it. So I know it's an away game at the end of the day. It's going to be a limited number of Celtic fans that get in, but at least Dundee United, they're a wee bit more accommodating than what Aberdeen have been. But I heard today that they're looking for £42 a ticket, Dundee United, from the Celtic fans who are going to be going to it. But in terms of the way the fixtures came out, are you quite confident it'll be over after Tannadice? That'll be it, done and dusted. And then will Rangers give us a guard of honour? Quite frankly, I really don't give a shit if they do or they don't. This debate comes up every year, it feels. There's always like some sort of, we've usually won the title by the time we go to play them in the 4th game, and this comes up, and it's always the same answer. I wouldn't want Celtic to give Rangers a guard of honour if the shoe was on their foot. So I don't know why there's all this big clamouring for, that team should give. Who cares? They're meant to be rivals. I don't want them to give us a guard. I don't want their approval at all. So to me, I'm not asked about that. But ultimately, Dundee United, is that where will the title be done and dusted at Tannadice in a week's time, Liam?
Fucking hope so, Phil. See if it isn't it? Oh my God, I don't know if I can take that. For something that should have been done so long ago, it just looks like we've made it hard. Because I tell you what, if we slip up in Dundee, I don't fancy our chances in Ibrox. That now, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see how tomorrow's game, Sunday's game goes as well. We've I thought we played really well. I thought we just came out and we annihilated Kelly right away.
Yeah.
And I thought the passing was really crisp and all that. I think if we can come and do that same thing on Sunday, then I've got no problem with us going to Dundee and just putting it away to bed. If we struggle on Sunday, yeah, I might know it's been cut dry as I think. And it would just be just like this team to sort of like stretch it out, wouldn't it? It'd be par for this season. It's just like it's been really good at times, but it's also been questionably bad at times as well. Like, it's a weird polarity this season. You can never just sit back and enjoy it. Oh, well, look, we're massive ahead. No, we're going to sell our striker. Right? And then it's like, I knew we're going to drop 14 points, and I start dropping points because we're complacent. And yeah, it's just one of these seasons. It's been so up and down with highs and lows that I wouldn't put it past this team to stretch it out and then, win 9-0 on the last day. Crazy stuff. It would suit this team. That's the energy we're throwing up.
I've said on a few Friday nights now, I'm like, how much more motivation do you need, really, when, from our point of view as fans, what's on the line, and some of the performances in recent weeks have just been so off it, compared to, last week, first half an hour, absolutely blitz Kilmarnock. And that's what I hope happens when we play Dundee United, when we play St Johnstone this Sunday in the Cup. Just go out and just blow them away in the first half an hour, because we're capable of it. At the start of the season, we were doing it against teams, and then we seem to have petered out. And I understand it's a long season, and obviously the players have put in a lot of time this season, a lot of minutes have been played. But at the end of the day, man, now what's on the line, it's just that one final stretch. Just finish it with a bit of style. The manager keeps saying, we want to run over the line. We don't want to limp over the line. So it's like, you'd like to think that, we'll go up there, but there is that worry that, we're going to get a performance against, 10 men behind the ball against St Johnstone on Sunday, a lot of passing sideways, waiting for it to open up. But again, if you score a couple of early goals, those are out the window. But it just feels like, some performances, you can tell right away, very early in a game, how Celtic are going to go. Last week, I had a good feeling in the first couple of minutes. I was like, we look really up for it compared to the game at St Johnstone the week before. We were really lethargic in the first few minutes, and we were a goal down in the first few minutes as well. But against Kelly last week, you just knew right away. You could see the urgency, the zip in it. It was like they had a point to prove. And it's like, you've got 7 games left now, 5 league games, potentially 2 cup games now. And it's like, just go out and finish it with a bit of style. And when that Rangers game rolls around as well, regardless if we're champions at that point, which I think we will be, there's going to be a pressure now to perform, because the way the last 2 have went against them, I think we're right to be sort of saying to this. I don't think it's being entitled, Liam, to have a sort of expectation with the team that we need to go to Ibrox and put in a performance and show that they've not got the better of us, going into next season, because they are getting some kind of takeover in the summer. It's going to give them some kind of financial stability. So they're going to be spending and going to go out there and try to bring their team up to some level. We need to make sure that we've got an answer now, that we can push them back a wee bit, and then in the summer we add to our team as well.
Yeah, that's it. The fact that those 2 games, the last 2, and then the cup final as well that we played them in, went as the way they did, shows that it's like that there's no the golf there should be. For what we've witnessed and what we've achieved over the last years, both with player sales and all the good things that have happened to us, that golf should be much, much bigger. All that money that's came in through us, all these sales, we don't seem to have built on them. We're back in that old model where when we sell a player, we're getting value back for them, but we're not replacing them with equal value. And that means is that we've always talked players that could come and step in. When we paid 13 million for Engels, everybody in this podcast, we all thought we were getting a player that come in and step in and play for the team immediately. He's done that, but he's not done it on merit. There's so many games he should have been pulled. There's so many games where he's went missing. And for that sort of thing, then it's like, okay, so is he an upgrade on Matt O'Reilly? I don't think so. Not at this point. I'm seeing him taper off to... Matt O'Reilly can still pull off moments. I'm not seeing big Engels moments. I'm seeing the odd pass every 3 or 4 games. Getting told he's good positionally and all that. I don't know. But yeah, I think we need to get the checkbook out, and I think we need to start looking at players that can come in and help our team, that are not going to get complacent, that can come in that are ready-made. You know?
Yeah, I think last week I thought Engels and Tatati, after a abysmal performance up at McDiarmid Park, I thought they were great last week, but I feel like if the team are playing well as a unit, then they two are excellent because they get all the time and all the freedom on the ball. Because one of the things that Hitati in particular gets caught out with is just dwelling on the ball, and whatnot. He gets caught out with things like that. But last week, we were right in about it from the start. What you want to see, the type of performance that we need. And I thought Engels and Hitati had a fantastic game. But when you get games like St Johnstone 2 weeks ago, where it's a bit of a slog, we're not really finding much. It feels like they're those influential. But I do think in the summer, I've said that a few times, I feel like Hitati is probably going to be gone in the summer. I think he'll be heading off to pastures new. I feel like he's sort of reached the end of his time at Celtic, and how much we get from him, I don't know. But obviously, I think there's going to be quite a bit of change. Right? What Brendan Rodgers has said in recent weeks about freshening it up, I think there will be. And again, I say our board are very reactive to what happens across the city. As I said a few minutes ago, something's going on over there with some sort of takeover. I think they will try and react to whatever they're doing. I don't think it'll be a case of we'll sit back and just watch them spend all sorts of money. I think Celtic will dig into the biscuit tin. They'll get it open, Liam. They'll crack it open, mate. We've been sitting on a lot of money for a while now, it seems. So this could finally be where we will see. But it's the last season, spent 11 million on Engels. I think next season we'll see how he goes then. I feel like we'll start to see him ticking over then. But as it goes back to my point, I've said it the last couple of weeks, Brendan Rodgers needs to figure out what his best role is in the midfield. Is he a defensive midfielder? Is he an attacking midfielder? Is he a box-to-box midfielder? Because it feels like he's trying to do a lot of it all at the one time in every game. And I feel like, that's probably part of the problem. I don't think Engels has got a really definitive role right now in the team. I don't know if that comes because maybe Callum McGregor is playing in the position that Engels is best at. It could be something like that. And again, it goes back to the problem you were saying earlier on, guys like McGregor, they can have bad games, but they're not going to get dropped. So it's up to Brendan Rodgers to find that answer. He's got to find it, Liam.
You can add Alistair Johnson to that list as well. I was surprised Alistair Johnson started. I thought he was one of the worst as well. And then I remember last time we played against St Johnstone as well. I remember that boy. Only reason I remember his name is because he looked a wild one. He looked like he was up for playing against Celtic. It was Duke McKenna. That's a name right out of a Tarantino film, isn't it?
That's, by the way, yeah.
And I thought he looked lively against. He looked like he didn't mind the physical battle against Alistair Johnson at all. And same with CCV as well. He looked up for it. One of these probably good journeyman players that's played against guys like CCV and all that, coming up through the ranks, and absolutely no fear, And so I thought he looked good against us. He's the one that I think will give us a wee bit of trouble on the bigger pitch. I thought they had a really good athletic team, like the forwards, they were up built like brick shithouses as well.
Yeah.
So, I think it was a very physical game as well, against them, against us, that sort of like, we look like a very soft team. And I think, Rangers know how to bully us a wee bit now. St Johnstone figured it out. And there's been other teams that try it, Kilmarnock can do it, maybe in their park, but no on ours.
Yeah.
That's going to be the interesting. The interesting is going to see the battle. And I think we got to look at some of the signings we have now. It's like, these guys battlers. Say what you want about, Rangers on the other side and all that, Barry's Broggy Bears, but look at who they've got on the bench. They're trying to turn that team into battlers, and we've not got the league and the referee association would protect or try and persuade you to do anything else, because they love being the centre of attention as well, so that would benefit them too. But I think we have to look on our recruitment as well. It's like Scottish football might be going back to the old hammer and tongs, really physical football. You're seeing more and more of it.
I keep looking at the championship table, see if Livingston come back up with Martindale and his team of cloggers, because honest to God, he's got a pure prototype. See, over the last few years, watching Livingston come to Celtic Park, the type of players he's got, big physical units, man, big wall punchers, essentially, hammer throwers, and it's like, yeah, this is the type of stuff. Like, we do need a physical element. I've said before as well, like, look at Bernardo at the start of the season, that first game against Rangers, which seems so long ago now, but yeah, when we beat them 3-0, he was excellent that day. He was properly in about them, not giving them a chance to settle, using his physicality. But the midfield three that we have probably played the most this season, McGregor, Hatate and Engels, have not shown any physicality in that engine room at all. And it's like, but that's why we're going to get on to talk about Bernardo, and we talk about, obviously, for the lineups and whatnot, because I've got a lot of questions about what's going on with him. I feel like he's so hard done by, but he's got that physicality. I think we do need to add that. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the guy is a total clogger. Like, Bernardo is not a clogger. He is obviously a very silky player, but he's got a wee bit of upper body strength about him. It doesn't mean, a lot of people have got a very black and white definition of, like, if a player's a physical one, he's just, a big hammer thrower, essentially. You can get players who can be physical, but can also have a bit of flair about them as well. But again, it's just about finding that. But we do need to add that element, I feel. There was a couple of years there where I felt like, Rangers, I remember they beat us in a semi-final when Lundstrom was just being a nuisance in the middle by being physical, and my thoughts were, we're going to need a defensive midfielder to combat him, but Ange Postecoglou just didn't do that. I think Ange's mentality is very much, we'll just keep playing football around them, just make them chase the ball and they won't catch us, and obviously it worked. But no, I do feel that there's other teams as well. I say, just the way Scottish football is, you're going to need somebody who can be a wee bit dirty in the middle, essentially, and can get in amongst those battles, like Scott Brown was for us for many years. Scott Brown was that guy in the middle. He wasn't afraid to stick a challenge in there and whatnot. So we do need that element in the middle of the park. And speaking of some transfer news as well, talk about funds and money and cracking open the biscuit tin. Celtic might be about to receive a wee bit extra this summer as well, Liam, because a former player is rumoured with a big transfer one. This comes up every summer for the last 4 years or whatever, but it looks like Jeremy Frimpong will be on the move this summer from Leverkusen. It looks like Liverpool are the place that he's going to go. When you think about it, Arne Slot, Dutch manager, Virgil van Dijk plays there, Dutch captain, Cody Gakpo plays for them, Dutch international teammate. It probably has a good fit. With Trent Alexander-Arnold leaving as well and going to Real Madrid, they've got a big empty space at right back, so it looks like Jeremy Frimpong may be on the way. Now, I don't know what the exact percentage is and whatnot, what it'll work out at, because we don't know what the transfer fee is right now. There could be a wee bit of extra money in it for Celtic, I suppose. The beauty of a sell-on clause, Liam.
Mate, I think Jeremy Frimpong would be absolutely amazing at Liverpool. I think that's the type of team for him as well. He'd be as popular as Paddy Pimblett down there, I think he's an exciting player. I mean, he got us off the... Like, he made such an impact when he came on, when Neil Lennon played him, just through the youth team. The first time I saw his name on the team sheet, I'd never even heard of him for the youths. Frimpong. I'm going... thought I was watching the Lassies team. You know what I mean? Just a name I wasn't familiar with at all, that we even had him. And he became one of my favourite players right away. Yeah. So I'm really happy to see him go to Liverpool. Don't really watch much English football, but plenty of mates up Scouse. So I think he'd flourish there.
Yeah, no, it seems a good play. He came in, remember, as the third choice right back because we'd signed El Hamid, the right back. We signed him. He was the new starting right back, but had injury problems. We brought in Moritz Bauer on loan for Stoke, and he wasn't really up to much. And Frimpong was just like a youth investment from Man City, the City Group link. Remember that? Right. And I remember it was against Partick Thistle. It was a League Cup game, I'm pretty sure. He was given a chance in that, and he looked dynamite. And Neil Lennon just decided, just stick with him. He's played well there. I don't care that he's only, 18 years old or whatever. And yeah, he quickly established himself as the main right back in the team. But yeah, it looks like he will finally be on the move from Bayer Leverkusen. So we'll see how much see how much they sell him for and what that equals for Celtic. Will it get spent? Will it just go into the biscuit tin? We'll need to wait and see. But we know that the Celtic board do love extra money, so I'm sure they'll be delighted. Peter Lawwell will be loving that, get the cash register out, get that added into the account, no problem at all. Thank you very much, Leverkusen. So yes, we'll keep an eye on that one. Also, the Celtic put out the Player of the Year link for the Celtic's own Player of the Year awards. I think it's safe to say we know who's going to win that. It's going to be Daisen Maeda. The Young Player of the Year one's a little bit trickier. I think Adam Eder is in when you're going into the voting. So I've not looked at it properly yet, but I saw people on Twitter saying that's some laugh having Adam Eder in there in the Young Player of the Year section. But when I do think about it, I'm like, Young Player of the Year, who could that go to? Yeah, because nobody's really. I mean, Engels is obviously in that category, but has Engels been superb? As I keep saying, he's had some flashes, he's had some moments, but we didn't pay 11 million for moments. So to me, there needs to be a lot more there. So in terms of the Young Player of the Year, I'm struggling right now with that one, to be honest. Yeah, because Adam Eder's in it. That shows you when they're stretching for nominees, where they're putting him in there. So yeah, it's a tough one. And goal of the season, obviously, God, there's so many good ones that I could go through in my head. I mean, one of my favourite ones this year was from way back in the first Celtic Rangers game this season, Callum McGregor's goal, where he just ran across the face of the box and bent it into the top corner. Similarly, Nicholas Kuhn's goal against Red Bull Leipzig, running across the face of the goal and bending it into the far corner. And of course, last week we saw Cameron Carter-Vickers with as I always like to say, Liam, a thunder bastard of a goal. Ridiculous. I said it to Terry on PMP. It was like, Hitate's goal was excellent, but it wasn't even the best goal of the day. Cameron Carter-Vickers, who knew he had that in his locker, Liam?
I know, he said he curly-toed it, and I don't know what that means. Like, did he sort of toe-poked it in a way? He said he curly-toed it, and I was like, okay, but you know what? It did. I love the way it just dipped. I thought it was coming off the bar. It just dipped in beautifully. And see how happy the players were for him as well, right? There was a lot of smoke and all that going about, and
yep.
Yeah, big man struggled, He struggled lately, so it was good to see him. Something fortunate to happen for him on the pitch there, and get a bit of his confidence back as well. And because supposedly he hits loads of them in training all the time. Somebody was reading that in one of the chats or heard that somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's good to know that he's got something like that in his locker, because the amount of times again that we find ourselves just pass it from side to side. In fact, I said it to Terry last week on PNP in the stadium. Just before he hit it, there was a wee bit of restlessness building in the stands, because it was a lot of, I think it was Scales and him were doing a wee bit of back and forth with each other. Just because, again, we're coming forward to the ball. There's 10 men pretty much camped in the Kilmarnock 18-yard line, pretty much. They're just all back. And pass it to Scales, back to him. You're waiting for, as Brendan Rodgers says, the angle of attack to change. You're waiting for an opening to come. And it didn't come, but then he just decided to unleash the fury pretty much and just absolutely belted it into the top corner. So, hey, that could be something that we could use in the future for having a game where a team is just camped in, finding it hard to break them down. And yeah, just go for it. You never know. You don't shoot, you don't score. If it hits the post, hits the bar, comes back out, you get a rebound goal, the goalkeeper saves it, fumbles it. You just never know. That's always one of the things that always frustrates me. I get the way football is nowadays about possession, keeping the ball, not getting hit on the counter-attack. But to me, in those opportunities, have a pop at goal when it opens up in front of you, in and around that sort of 25-yard area. Just have a shot, because the keeper might spill it, and then somebody like Maeda runs in and scores. It can happen. So to me, it's always worth a goal. But I just feel like football nowadays in general, not just Celtic, but, pretty much it's a Pep Guardiola rant again. He's ruining everything. But it's all about keep the ball, possession, keep on passing, sideways passing. And it's like, have a shot at goal. The fans love it. Like, honestly, it's a fantastic one. And see, we get that last week. Him and Hatate just belting one in from outside the area. That's what you want to see.
I think that's the thing, is you do need to be given permission to shoot, right? But I think it's equally as frustrating for the fans when you're seeing them fly out of the bar and all that as well. I mean, I think it has to be one of these things. It's like, okay, to always take the low shot every single time, put it through, get it on the deck. You know, you're going to get people that will pick out the corners and all that when they need to and that. But if you're going to shoot, yeah, it's like get it on target. That has to be the rule. And I think if you do that, that's your right. That's when the fans will get right behind you every time, because that creates action. That creates scrambles in the goal mouth, rebounds, tackles, penalties. You know, it gives the fans something at the end of this 43. Supposedly we set some sort of world record the other night for most passes in a game.
1,020 or something like that, was it? It was, yeah, insane. It was a world record, apparently, most completed passes in a game. Yep.
And you score 5 goals out of that. One was in the last minute, and 4 were in the first 26 minutes, and you still had that many passes. I don't know if should we be concerned about that record, or is that something we're going to put the 55 this year?
Yeah, it's again, you're right to point out, you know, all those great passes completed, but yeah, 5 goals for it. We were comfortable in the game. I do feel last week was, again, just playing into current day football and the way things are about conserving energy. We obviously went out there, blitzed them in the first half hour. Then it was a case of, right, just hold on to the ball, just let them chase us, because we don't need to do anything else now. I know the fans in the stand obviously want to just keep seeing us going forward, more goals, and obviously wait to the last minute. But it was a great ball for Hatate. That pass to Ralston was fantastic. Back to goal. First time pass over the top. It was a great one. And also, just this point just came up here. I was mentioning about shooting, and sometimes it can spill. Best example from Tommy 55, like Adam Eder in the cup final. There you go. I was literally talking to somebody about this week, because they were having a debate about Adam Eder, would they keep him and whatnot, and saying how, you know, we pretty much bought him on the basis of one goal in the cup final. So, well, he's got to be there in the right place to score it. How many times when Kyogo was here did you see him stray offside? Because remember, that goal that Eder scored could have very easily strayed offside. So Kyogo was always bad at judging the line, but he held his run, he held it perfectly, and he just anticipated that maybe, just maybe, this might break for me, and it did. So you've got to be in the right place to score them. And yeah, as how underwhelming Eder has been at times this season, he has always still got that cup final goal to his name. He'll always have that. So yeah, that's what happens. You just have a pop at goal. Bernardo had a pop that day. And Adam Eder was there, right time, right place to bundle it into the net. And that seems like a good link, a good segue to move on to talking about the Scottish Cup at Hampden, St Johnstone. Talk about Bernardo and Adam Eder. They're going to feature in this bit as well. So, yeah, let's move on to it. Obviously, the treble is back on the table here. It is in focus. We've got St Johnstone on Sunday in the new high-tech age of e-tickets. Aberdeen and Hearts will be up first on Saturday. We'll see how they get on with getting into the stadium. I raised my concerns a few weeks ago about it. I have got my tickets on my Hampden app. They did appear, but it turns out that the QR code that you need to scan it will not be sent to you until the morning of the match. We'll see how that goes. But I say the fact that Hearts and Aberdeen are playing before us fills me a bit of confidence that if it goes wrong with them, the SFA will have some time to fix it by the time we come to the stadium the next day. But then again, this is the SFA we're talking about. It could be a bit of a lottery, but yes, I can confirm my tickets are on the Hampden app just now, but I do not have my QR code, so I'm sitting hoping that comes in smoothly. Over to you, SFA. But yeah, so that's obviously Sunday when it comes. And let's obviously St Johnstone beat us a couple of weeks ago, Liam. Let's not ignore that, although it was at McDiarmid Park on their own pitch, which was a bit of agricultural. Yeah, that's a great way to say it. It was very dry, very agricultural. What will St Johnstone obviously take from that result, and what can they implement to going into this Sunday? Because it's a bigger pitch. You've got to imagine it'll be in decent condition. I know Hampden Parks have always got this reputation. I always find about it cutting up, and if a team plays before, but I usually find that it's usually all right when we play the next day anyway. It's not really a problem. So obviously, with being a bigger pitch, we can stretch the game a bit more. But I'm fully expecting that they will just be like 10 men behind the ball for as long as possible and just try and keep it at 0-0 and try and hit them in the last 10 minutes. That'll probably be St Johnstone's game plan.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is, I talked about that Duke McKenna. I liked him. I thought he was lively. He'll get us trouble. If they get 2 of them up against their back 4 and manage to get them in that space in the middle, and their players can find them either with long balls or tackles, free kicks, throw-ins. You know what I mean? It's easy to get a hold of them if there's two there. And if they can bully our centre-halves, then we're in a game. Yeah. But I think it's the way we want to see them play as Celtic, right? And what we know that we have in the team, same that we played against Kilmarnock. I thought James Forrest was really good in the build-up to some of their goals. I noticed that all the one-touch football, that bang, 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 was all coming on the right side of the field. It was really going off that, and we seem to be having a lot of joy of just unlocking the defence with good triangles and having that sort of the winger move in and they just sort of rotate like a triangle. I thought that looked really good. So I think if we come out and it is, it's a big part. If we come out and we overawe them with speed and really quick movement and that quick sort of passing style, I think it's the same thing. Get them disoriented and run it up, and we hit them for 2-3. Then we can take the sting out of the game, and
Yeah, well, the comment I've got on screen now, we're not going to do our predictions yet, but what he's saying is not a million miles off what I think. I think it might play out similar to what happened to Aberdeen early in the season, where they had the audacity, Liam, to take some points off us, and then we put it right the next time. So I feel like there's going to be a wee bit of revenge. And I know that the St Johnstone manager, Simo Valakari, was nonsense in the idea of revenge in there, but I feel like Brendan Rodgers and Celtic at times we can be a bit ruthless, and I do feel that it will be something very similar to what Ian is saying on the screen just now. But before we get to the predictions, some of the team choices. Now, did you happen to see Brendan Rodgers' press conference for the game? Have you seen it? I uploaded today on YouTube.
I did.
There was an interesting little tidbit of information that he let out there, and I don't know if he did it.
Hey.
Okay. Right, we'll see if I got it right. I'm talking about one of the defenders. I don't know if it's the same as me. About the Nawrocki situation, where he sort of inadvertently told us exactly where Nawrocki is in the pecking order, because for the last month or so, yourself, me, Terry, Mark, all that appeared on the channel, we've all asked the question, what exactly did Nawrocki ever do wrong? Maybe he is a bit slow, but ultimately, is he a bad defender? He's not terrible. He's not the worst I've ever seen in the Celtic shirt. He comes in, he makes 2 appearances. Obviously, he plays in the Rangers game, he plays in the Hearts game, and now he's back to sitting in the stand. And today, when Brendan was going through the injuries, he also mentioned Yang is injured, which we know about, and Schmeichel, fair enough. But out of nowhere, he drops a line about Dane Murray, and he mentions, I was considering Dane Murray for the Rangers game. Now, at first I thought he was going to say, the Rangers game coming up in 2 weeks, because he's thinking we're probably going to be league champions by then. But then he said, but he picked up a knock before the game, and then that put the obviously rang an alarm bell in my head that had Dane Murray not picked up a knock 24 hours before that last Rangers game, Nawrocki wouldn't even got a game. So that gave us an indication of exactly where Mike Nawrocki is in the pecking order right now, Liam, after his couple of wee cameos he's had. Dane Murray is still, in Brendan Rodgers' eyes, still ahead. What has this guy done to piss off the manager that much that he cannot, or he's not even the 4th choice centre-back, the 5th choice centre-back now?
Honestly, I don't know. I remember in the old Celtic minded days, the ideal profile for a Celtic centre-back was, we wanted somebody with a bit of nous, somebody that could carry the ball out, win the ball in the air, a bit Roy the Rovers type. And then right beside him, we wanted a big Serbian baby eater. That's what I thought we were getting with Nawrocki. He's got that baddie look for Highlander, the Krogan or whatever his name was. I thought we were getting something with a bit of physicality, a bit of something toughness right there that we seem to be lacking in a team. And that can also play a bit. League of Warsaw is a good team with fans that have really high expectations. They play Champions League, they're like us, right? And I thought we were getting a winner there, and I have no idea what he's done. Whatever the magic Greg Taylor's doing to create the love in for him, Nawrocki's somehow doing the complete opposite of that. So, I don't know, maybe he can wheel out like somebody's granddad or something, his last wish it is to see a Celtic game, or he's their big baby. Or just don't stand up next to Greg Taylor in the lineup.
Well, a few people in the chat, like Graham Tyrrell and Ian McIntosh, have a discussion about Nawrocki was pitched for Rangers too, and I understand there was an issue with him not playing it to the left-hand side. He kept going right, and it just felt to me like he was playing it safe a lot of the time. He hadn't been in the team for bloody, I don't know how long, best part of a year was the last time we saw him. So I think with the Hearts game, I could see that he was actively trying to play out to the left and try and move it a bit quicker. But the first game back, but I think in general he wasn't the worst defender on the day. The whole team were pretty much rubbish, but I thought Nawrocki came out okay, but not great. I'm not saying he's the answer, and I'm not sitting here saying that. I've said it a couple of times now, Liam, that I don't think he'll be here next season. I think it was just a couple of cameos, but it just shows you how far down the pecking order he is. But when he mentioned that today about he was actually considering playing Dane Murray in that Rangers game, but it was only due to a bounce game the day before that Murray had picked up a knock, and he couldn't play against Rangers. So that is how far out, how far away Nawrocki is. But obviously, he was out of the team for the St Johnstone game and the Kilmarnock game, and Liam Scales was back. As I said last week to Terry, we got a very Liam Scales type game as well. He was all right, a few wayward passes that just went straight out the park. But again, just from the sort of fundamentals of defending, he was all right. He was okay. Kilmarnock didn't massively trouble us anyway. Trusty, I see he became a father recently, and he got married as well. He's ticking off all the boxes right now, doing everything. And so he's had a kind of busy time recently. Trusty, Scales, that's obviously up for debate right now. Does Scales keep his place on Sunday? Does Trusty come back in? What do you think, Liam?
I mean, yeah, bring out the baby. I'll get man of the match.
Well, true. If there's that, yeah.
I mean, they are going to bring him out now. Yeah, Trusty. I thought Scales looked good. Scales looked good bringing the ball out. I think, I think that's why we started better. I think Scales starts good. Yeah, he's got a couple of balls that go out, but I don't know if that's just that, shaking off the rust and all that. Usually when Scales is given a good run of games, he gets good. Coming in for the cold, he's suspect and stuff. And it depends if we have easy games to temper him into the football, or hard games where he's going to be running back and defending and that. But the game against Kilmarnock was a great game for him to come and step back into the team. And I'd like to see Scales. I think we finished with Scales, yeah. I don't think Trusty. I know obviously he had a lot going on in his life, having a baby and all that, I guess. But it's football, right? And I don't know. I just think Scales looks a better option right now. Just Trusty looks. I wouldn't want to see him going back up against Rangers again. Put it that way. I'd rather see Scales against him. He's a bit more, he knows the score. Naive.
Does that mean that in the summer, are we back in the market for our centre back? Keep in mind what we spent on Austin Trusty last summer. Do you think we're back in for another one? I think Nawrocki's going. I don't think Dane Murray, he will be fourth choice if he sticks around anyway, fifth choice maybe. But are we coming back in looking for somebody to be a starting centre back, or does Brendan still try and look at? It's going to be Trusty and Scales is the one to alternate with him with CCV. But again, CCV's also had his injury problems as well. But do you think we're back around out there looking for a centre back and a starter in the summer, Liam?
Well, we have to. I mean, I don't know what Dane Murray's like. I mean, we never really get a good showcase of our youth. Despite the lack of players that we have right now, we still don't see many substitutions. Even when we're well up, coming on that we can get a look at and we can see if they can play at this level. Some people raise their game when they play with better players. And in front of a crowd, and people react differently, and some people, go the opposite. So I think the times I've seen Dane Murray, I thought I liked him. He's a big lad. He's sort of like same sort of size and build as like the Jack Hendry type. But right now, that's I think what you've got there. You've got like a potential Jack Hendry. So I'd like to see us splash out the cash and bring in a really good centre back that's got Champions League experience. Sergio Ramos is playing in Mexico, right?
Did you see that penalty the other day? The goalkeeper tried to spook him out, and he just was kind of laughing at him, then just scored the penalty anyway. Oh, it was fantastic. The goalkeeper was like turned with his back to him and looking over his shoulder, and Sergio Ramos is just like stickering away, like, what? What are you doing? It was all for nothing because he scored.
I would him in a heartbeat, mate. I
I think his wages are a bit of a problem, but I do love Sergio Ramos. He's an absolute shithouser. I love it.
On. When he retired for Real Madrid, the first team he played with was the team his grandfather supported. He promised he'd go and play his last good season with him, and he went and did it for his granddad.
Right. Yeah. Okay, well, Jim sees that, and this is true. This is Terry said this as well. He made the comparison to Christopher Julian. Big trusty, 6'4", absolute unit. I've said it from day one. He's got the heart of a mouse. So I think, I say Terry said it last week on PMP. There's that sort of Christopher Julian element about him. He's got to, he's just got to toughen up because Scottish football. You said it earlier on, Liam. All these hammer throws that would come up against all these, these big units. So this is what he's going to be up against, and it's like in the summer. If he's sticking around, if he's going to be still the first team centre back, if that's what Brendan wants to go with, then he has to be more like savvy when it comes to the battle with these big units up top. So hopefully we'd see less of that. But on the weekend, I think Scales will keep his place. I still think it'll be Liam Scales for the centre back. I think it'll be CCV, Johnstone, and it'll be Taylor. We'll say that name quietly just now, Taylor. Midfield, this is the contentious one for me. What has Paulo Bernardo got to do to get some minutes, Liam? What's he got to do? He's back. I know he's away from injury. I know he had a 5-6 week layoff. In fact, it was longer than that. Obviously, he was out injured from the end of January, start of February. And he's came back in. He came on against Hearts for like a brief cameo, but then we get 2 games since then. St Johnstone, where the midfield were absolutely useless and nothing was going our way. So you think, surely a guy like Bernardo coming on, maybe that's something we could look at. Didn't come on, Luke McCown did. In the benefit of hindsight, when I was looking at the state of the park up at McDiarmid, maybe Brendan was thinking, just back for an injury, that pitch isn't the best surface right now. Maybe I'll keep him. But then next week we're playing Kilmarnock. We're 4-0 up after half an hour. And it's like, well, that's this is perfect. On the second half, Kelly are not troubling us. Get him on for the last half hour, get him some minutes. No, he didn't come on at all. Luke McCown came on instead. What the hell's Paulo Bernardo got to do to get some games right now, Liam?
Well, I don't know what Luke McCown has done. That one is puzzling because the times where Bernardo did come on, I thought he looked lively, and we've commented on it. He looked like something we needed. He's the one that tackles back and manages to get his leg in there. And as you said, I think he's got a fair bit of flair to him, and he's no frightened to have a pop or try something. And he also looks like a player fun to play with. He's got like a lot of wee back heels and flicks and all that. And again, there's a toughness to him as well. He doesn't look at there's a slyness to him. He's plays with all these Portuguese internationals and all that. It's not like he's been away for the dark arts. He came through Benfica, so once he gets his game going as well, I think you're looking at a baller of a player. Plays in that under-23 team for Portugal as well. And so, if we're not looking at playing him, I imagine he's attractive to other clubs if they could get him cheap. And I think we're doing it, Rodgers again. It's like, okay, maybe Arnie Engels isn't for every game. Maybe you need to start adjusting your tactics or something like that, so that when we end up relying on going at this horseshoe, you need somebody to come into the park that's going to be able to go back, disrupt that horseshoe thing, and bring the ball through the middle and see what happens. That's what I think Bernardo does. I think when Engels is in that thing, he's so passive in the middle. He's just watching that ball knock round about him and then trying to get to wing it and then hope he's got a 1 or 2. But there's a lot of watching right now for to. Well, I guess McCown's better than watching than Bernardo, according to Rodgers.
Well, the thing is, McCown obviously played in that Rangers game. I think he was just overwhelmed by the whole situation, and he didn't obviously have the best of games. But now Bernardo's back and available. Yeah, so it's like, get Bernardo in, because I said that last week to Terry. I says, once we've wrapped up the league, which I think we'll do next week at Tannadice, does Bernardo get the chance to, stake his claim for the cup final? Because if we're in the cup final, then that's the last big thing of the season. And it's like, but Terry was right to say the guy deserves more than just playing in a bunch of dead rubbers to try and stake a claim for the cup final. He should be one that's been strongly considered already. But I just feel like, and not even last week against Kelly, 4-0 up in half an hour, 4-1 half time. Kelly not troubling us. Second half was pretty much just a training exercise. Perfect chance to just get him on and get a bit of time, a bit of minutes in the legs. But yeah, for whatever reason, just didn't do it. So I'm quite worried that the way he's getting sort of treated just now. I mean, but Graham Tyrrell says there, Bernardo reminds me of Petrov, one of your favourites. I know Stan Petrov's been in the news recently. Rather, his son's been in the news. That's an interesting move, that one, to say the least. But anyway, running, power, tackling, and shooting, I think it's a fair comparison to Petrov, to be honest with that one, Liam.
Oh, mate, yeah, he's lucky Petrov's son no running the Bulgarian elections. You want to see right wing? I'll show you right wing.
Yeah, I can imagine how that way. Aye.
Yeah, I think Petrov's a great comparison, you know, and again, a young player that's still developing. Said it earlier this season at the beginning, will Paulo Bernardo be given the chance to be better than Arnie Engels in that position? Or is that price tag something that's going to affect that and make you have bias towards Engels? And I think it clearly has. I really think it clearly has. I think Brendan's trying to prove to the board right now, when it's coming to releasing funds and money time and all that, that his player for 13 million at that price range is not a flop, and is much better than the 6.5 million player we also bought the same window.
Yeah. Well, A&M's saying that in the comment there. The same way that fans knew Maeda was a better option at centre forward, I think Rodgers will soon have to admit that Bernardo should be in ahead of Engels. Watch this space. I think next season, Hatate, I don't think will be here. I think he'll go. Will it be a case of Bernardo then comes in and he is the regular with Engels and McGregor? Do we go out and buy more midfielders? What happens there? I think Bernardo deserves a prolonged run. I thought last season when we had him on loan, there was a bit of mystery about him where we were kind of like, what is this guy good at? We didn't get a chance to see him, but then he did get a run of games around about the turn of the year. And that's when we began to see, okay, if this guy does get an established run, he's very good. But it always felt like last season he was very stop-start, and this season has been the exact same, very stop-start, but we know what he's capable of when he gets a run of games.
Phil, Rodgers ran him in every single Champions League game we had that year.
He did,
yeah. Starting in the league, but he was starting every Champions League game and getting a good run. And I thought, that's when we thought, okay, well, there must be something. Obviously, there was something about him that this boy could play. You know, and he's got the discipline and all that. And so, yeah, I thought we were getting a player that would be far more involved this year than what he has, even before he got injured. And the fact that he's back now and he's ready to play, yeah, I don't know. Rodgers, sort of going off Rodgers. He does my head in sometimes. You know, worked in advertising for you. I think he's always selling his ideas and all that shit. And I've seen all the tactics before, and it's like, no working this time, mate.
Well, he's shown that he's not willing to change the shape of the team. All he can do is change the personnel of the team. But right now, there's a few question marks where it's just like, you know, give some of these guys the chance. But yeah, he's sticking to his guns on a lot of them. But yeah, we'll see what happens come Sunday. In terms of the forward line, I think we'll go back to Jota, Kuhn, and Maeda up top. I think we'll go with that one. Adamida, obviously, there was a bit of a naughty boy this week. He was there was a video doing the rounds on social media where him and some mates were out on the lash, and he vomited in the back of a taxi. So that was very good for the taxi driver, I'd imagine. But Brendan Rodgers was asked about it today at the presser. Obviously, whoever journalist was looking to stir up a bit of controversy. Oh, was Adam Eden in trouble? Brendan Rodgers just kind of dealt with it pretty well and backed the player and just said it was his day off. He's entitled to enjoy himself. And yeah, it was cool. But yeah, the video was not the most flattering of videos. You know, it's it's not the best. He'll vomit in the back of a taxi, never good at all. But must have had a hell of a night. But yeah, last week I said that to Terry on PMP where the goals are flying in that first half an hour, and I was like, okay, Adam Ida's going to get in, because again, you're thinking we're going to put about 7 or 8 past this mob. No problem, but obviously we slowed down after 4-0 and just decided, you know, well, the game's won, we'll just take it easy. But yeah, last week he just didn't really look like scoring at all, which seems to be a bit of a running theme. There was that spell that he had just after Kyogo left where he played like 5 or 6 domestic games in a row and scored, and I think all of them bar one, scored 2 against Aston Villa and amongst that, and you're like, right, okay, this is it. Now that Kyogo's away, he got that goal in the Champions League against Young Boys of Bern, which also worked as a wee catalyst for him. You're like, right, this is it. And he's lost his place to Dyson Maeda. And when he does play now, I think what is the most recent goal was against Hibs, wasn't it, in the Scottish Cup, the one very late on to make it 2-0. But yeah, he's not even looking like scoring at times, and it's worrying because I do think he will still be here next season. I know there's been a lot of debate online about would you take 6 million for him or whatever. A lot of fans are saying they would cut their losses, and yeah, so I don't think we'd get offered 6 million right now for him, to be honest. But I think he'll still be here next season, but I also think there'll be another forward here next season as well. I think that'll be one of the things on the short list. And what that does for Ida then, does that kick him on to be more determined and get into the team? Or does he just sink further down right now? So it's a bit of a conundrum with Ida right now, Liam.
I'd take anything over 8 million for him.
Yeah.
Okay, how long do we want to wait? How long have we waited for would we pay for him? 9 million?
Aye, 8.5. We have the chance to go up to 9.5 if whatever conditions are met. I don't think those conditions have been met yet. Funny enough, the whatever clauses were in the contract. I've got a feeling they've been met.
Maybe we will get him for around about 8 or something. But yeah, my God, what a disappointment. But then again, I come back, you start looking at your expectations. This was the third-rated striker for Norwich, right? And again, this is all about buzz and hype and all that. As Celtic fans, come on, everything that we know that we've looked for in strikers and all that, nobody really had that as sort of like a description of what that striker would look like as far as where he came from and the amount of money and that. And yeah, I think he's underwhelmed, really underwhelmed. And I don't know, that might be something about just the boy's mindset, or maybe. Players at that age, he's still young, so they're always evolving, Some of them lose their flair, lose their confidence as the older they get, where, they might have been able to, use their physicality to, like they play a different game when they're 17 against 17-year-olds as you do when you're 21 and you're playing against men. And so you see some of that develop in young players. And he might be one of the players that is struggling with that, Because he's not a particularly skillful player. And I've not seen a lot of imagination from him, where like a wee trick or a flick or something like that, like the same way you could get out of Giorgio Giacopoulos.
Georgios Giacomakis, you remember him? What a player.
I mean, he had a trick in him. Yeah. When he had some creativity. Ida just seems like route one, and it's like, honestly, it looks like every other Scottish forward or whatever that we play against in the Premier League. It looks very much every bit of player that would play for St Johnstone or Aberdeen that we see that, they're like that Alan Mains and, those sort of guys that come out, like the bulky centre forward, that plays against us. And, it doesn't get a lot of, he can bury you if you leave him alone or do something daft, but he's not going to create, the odd bit of brilliance, for every game.
Yeah, Ida, one of the things that I pick up on watching him is he likes to drop deep a lot and run into the channels out wide. And I'm like, see if you would just stay in and around the area. It's like you're the number 9, you're the centre forward. We literally play one through the middle up top. So it's like, I feel like he's obviously handicapping himself by doing that. He did it last week against Kilmarnock quite a bit, when he was dropping deep and picking up the ball. And I know maybe we can argue maybe the service hasn't been good to him, so maybe out of frustration he's going to do it. But I'm like, if I was him, I'd be looking to try and play on the shoulder of the last defender, try and always be in and around the box and whatnot, because we zip a lot of passes across the goal. We like to get to the byline and zip them across. We score a lot that way. We've been doing that since Ange was the manager. We love that move, get to the byline and cut it back. And it's like sometimes we do that and Adam Ida's not even in the area. Or sometimes he might be the one cutting it back. You just don't know. It's like if you'd stay in and around the penalty box, or the sort of the penalty spot, just look in that area and, maybe get on the end of some of these. But say, the Graham Tyrrell, obviously makes the point, the transfer fee is not the player's fault, which is true. Yeah, a lot of his Celtic fanning about and letting Norwich put them over a barrel. Ida helped us over the line in the league in the cup last year. He has it in him, but he has got it there. But yeah, right now he's obviously just off the form. But yeah, we'll see.
I think some of that can be bad tactics as well. Mm-hmm. Looking at, you've got Adam Ida and you're saying what you just said about him coming deep to collect the ball. He doesn't have the engine. You can do that with a Henrik Larsson or Daisen Maeda.
Yep.
Somebody's got the speed and the movement to go back and like almost like elastic, like bang, you're responding back as part of the attack a lot quicker than what it takes Adam Ida to, it's like that, towing a caravan sort of thing, where his turn, by the time he's back into the play's done. As you said it, that ball's went across and he's not there.
Yep.
So I think that's bad tactics on their part if that's what we're asking him to do, because he doesn't have the physical presence to do that.
Nice. So hopefully that's another one, much like Engels, that Brendan figures out. But I do think Eder will still be here next season. But as I say, I do think there will be another forward brought in the summer. Who that'll be, we'll find out in due course. Now, Liam, before we go to the predictions, we're done an hour and 16 minutes. Jeez, a longer show tonight, folks. Mystery player, guess the player from the start of the show. So if you missed it when you tuned in, folks, I will bring up the graphic just now. So this one had quite a busy career. I better bring this comment off as well because it'll probably cover up some of the badges as well. So tonight's mystery player, 12 clubs to their CV. It was Notts County, Derby County, Aston Villa, Celtic, Everton, Sheffield Wednesday, Kilmarnock, Gillingham, Sheffield United, Scunthorpe United, Tamworth. And how did we decide we were pronouncing this one, Liam?
Rochester.
Yeah. But basically they're a non-league English team. But that was at the very, very end of his career. So, Liam, any idea who is behind the Boise Bus logo tonight?
Paul Elliott.
No, not Paul Elliott. It was Tommy Johnson. Remember Tommy Johnson? Yeah, Tommy Johnson, mate. Signed to Aston Villa under Tommy Burns, and then has the weird accolade of scoring a winning goal in a League Cup final and scored a goal that won us a league title in 2001. After having a loan spell at Everton, he was brought back to Celtic because he came in '97 at the end of Tommy Burns' final season because there was no transfer windows then. He signed in the springtime from Aston Villa. And Sing Van Hooijdonk had just left, so he was kind of the replacement for him. But injuries obviously, stifled him a wee bit. I think that was the case for the next couple of years. But then obviously the season happened to John Barnes. He got loaned out to Everton, and Barnes obviously gets sacked. Henrik Larsson was injured. The Ian Wright thing obviously didn't work out. Kenny Dalglish took back over and recalled him for the loan, and he came back in. And he scored in the 2000 League Cup final and beat Aberdeen. So he's got that to his name. And also the next season under Martin O'Neill, when we wrapped up the league title, he scored the winning goal that day against St Mirren, Tommy Johnson. But yeah, that was his very long career there. But yeah, I had a feeling that was a tricky one. I don't know if you were maybe going to say Alan Thompson when you saw Aston Villa before Celtic and maybe thought,
no, I knew we got him for Burnley, right?
No, Alan Thompson came for Villa. As I say, with Aston Villa though, Tommy Johnson also came from Villa, so I don't know if that was going to throw you there.
I think it did for a wee bit.
Aye, but no, there you go. That was tonight's mystery player, Tommy Johnson.
Johnson he was one of the go-to players that I think he should have played a lot more times for Celtic. We should have used Tommy Johnson a lot more because I think by the time he left and all that, we were seeing, even before he went to Everton, this guy was a quality player and he never let us down. And yeah, there was something about him as well,
Yeah, he's a bit of a character. People are saying that in the chat. He was one of those, like Greg Taylor, bit of a character in the dressing room. Imagine that. Yeah, if we started talking about Greg Taylor, we'll end the show and mention him as well. Sound the klaxon. So yeah, before we go, Liam, score predictions for Sunday. Are we going to go out and avenge what happened a couple of weeks ago? Are we going to be 3-4 up before St Johnstone have even got settled? And then it'll just be a case of just hold on to the ball after that. Will we do what we did to Aberdeen in the semi-finals of the League Cup? Will we absolutely tank them 6-0? Or will it be one of those for just passing it from side to side, waiting for an opening, a bit of a slog? But ultimately, will Celtic be in the final? That is the main question. Liam, will we get through on Sunday?
I can't even believe we're asking it. This is St Johnstone. We're a team at 13 points ahead in the league. We're the top of the table.
Yeah,
I would say. This is one of these games. You can't say it's down to complacency. You can't be motivated now because there's nothing on the line. All right, Celtic, this is a game that's on the line. This is So there's a chance for some of these players that haven't even won a trophy before to be a treble winning champion. You know, no many people can say that. No matter what league you are, you won a treble. And so that's the first step for us to get there. And so there should not be any problem motivating anybody, you know, to take part in this game. Yeah, I want to see us come in, overhaul them. Same thing that we did before with James Forrest, Johnstone, all hooking up, getting that ball into the middle and getting it to Dyson made it, and let's build, run up the score, run it up, give the fans something to sing about. Going to be packed at Hampden, you know. Hopefully it's nice and it's sunny and all that as well. But yeah, let's put on a show, you know. And I think that's what the fans want to see as well. It's like, show us that this team, that you're not complacency, that the people are working hard and paying for their season tickets and all that. Give them value. Give them value for everybody that's there that supported you all year. Don't give up on them because you think you've won something. No, we're winners. You've got to win every game. So
yeah, I think we'll get there. I think it's pretty much written in the stars that we're going to go on and be in that final and probably lift the treble as well. But yeah, I think we'll win it 3-0 at least. 4-0. I'll go with 4-0. I think we will go out. But I think it'll be similar to last week. I can see us getting a few early goals, and it'll just be a case of that's us done our bit. We'll just, you know, hold on unless Johnson chases, and yeah, we'll be in that final. I'll be quite surprised if we don't. Quite surprised, I suppose, is putting it mildly. I'll probably be furious if we don't. Probably the best way to put it. But yeah, surely, God, we have to go and do that again. I felt this team for the last few weeks they need a bit of jeopardy. I think it motivates them. I mean, they should be motivated anyway with what's on the line. Some of the performances have obviously been phoned in at times, but I think now with something, a bit of jeopardy in the game, where it's a cup semi-final, yeah, I think they'll be up for it from the start. And yeah, I can see us going on and winning it pretty handsomely. And yeah, then it'll be all eyes on Hampden, Hearts and Aberdeen with one of them.
One prediction. Greg Taylor. New contract in the shower, Hampden. We've had previous, mate.
Yep, that's probably going to happen. Yeah, I'm waiting for the tweet will come out. The tweet will come out in the next few days. It'll probably be announced. So yeah,
in the shower.
You can so see it happening. But yeah, he's yeah. So we started the show talking about him, and he's got the last word as well. Greg Taylor and Graham Tyrrell's getting the klaxon sound. Of course, the Friday Night Greg Taylor show, as always. So, yes, we're going to head off now, folks. It's been a busy one tonight. It's been an hour and 23 minutes as well. Hope you've enjoyed it. Remember, if you're going to the game on Sunday, somebody in the chat earlier, I think it was Stephen Kennedy said, or James Kennedy said, remember and have your phone charged, Phil, and he's right. So if you're going to the game and you've got one of these e-tickets, have your phone charged. And also, I think we're going to also need a good Wi-Fi connection as well to obviously access it. So that's down to Hampden to supply that. I hope to God this all goes smoothly, because I've had my worries about it. See, Hearts and Aberdeen playing the day before, they're going to be the same system. So if they all get in fine, we should be fine as well. And if there's any problems with them, it gives the SFA some time to fix it. In terms of PMP, as I've said on multiple shows recently, Russell is obviously out of action right now with internet issues, where his internet is just not performing at the maximum right now. So is it stable enough for him to be on a show for an hour or whatever? Because it could conk out. You can help with Terry stuck on his own. So that's why I've been standing in. So I'll probably need to do it again on Sunday. I believe Russell's still out of action. He might be up and running. He might get it fixed. Who knows? But if not, it'll be me and Terry that will do it. It'll probably need to be a bit later in the night as well, because obviously I'm coming back for the game. Getting back to Hampden's always a bit of a trek. So we'll get it sorted. I can't give you an exact time just now, but look out for it. It will be there when it comes along. Hit the subscribe button, of course. You'll be reminded when it is online. And yeah, well, all that said and done, I think we've covered everything we need to cover tonight, Liam. It's been a pleasure as always. You enjoy the game when it comes on Sunday as well. Everyone else enjoy the game. We'll see you for PMP, and hopefully we're talking about another cup final to look forward to, another Hampden in the sun moment, another treble potentially on the table, and then it'll be all eyes on Tannadice next week, where the title could be wrapped up. So yeah, it's all good. So yeah, folks, I was going to ask, by the way, is that Flat Eric? It is. Aye. Mr. Wazzo. God, there's a one-hit wonder. Jeez, oh. I saw that in the background earlier on. I was going to ask you, but I'm asking you now. So there you go. So yeah, Mr. Wazzo was... I was going to say, is it a Celtic scarf? It's a Bulgaria scarf, but yeah, there you go. Mr. Watford. That is a niche one, that. But anyway, we'll wrap on away now, folks. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy your weekends. Enjoy the Celtic on Sunday, and we shall catch you on PMP. See you later, guys. See ya.